Welcome back, everyone, to another movie review. Today we're going to be talking about Shazam! Fury of the Gods. I just went and saw this one yesterday, and I definitely am very mixed on the movie, so I want to share my thoughts with you guys. Before we get into this, if you guys are new here, consider hitting that subscribe button, letting me know that you guys like the content that I am putting out for you guys. And this is your spoiler warning. We are going to be talking full spoilers in this review. So if you haven't seen the movie yet, save this video, watch it, and then come back because I don't want to spoil the movie for you. So yeah, let's get talking about the good. So for me, one of the biggest things in this movie, going into this, I knew it was going to be very heavily comedy based. And for the most part, I really enjoyed that. I will talk a little bit more about that in my mixed. But a lot of the comedy landed for me in this movie, whether it was with the whole pen writing thing that they had where the sisters were reading the thing talking about Gatorade. I thought a lot of the little funny bits that they did with the pen were really funny. And just a lot of like the scenarios with the kids having to explain to their parents that they're superheroes and that they can like transform. I thought was a really cool, just funny like comedy bit that they can do throughout the whole movie. As for like the whole like what powers the everyone had and how they use them, like involved with the CGI of the powers, I thought that part of the CGI looked good. I think all the powers looked on point, especially the transformations. I thought I would get really like sick of seeing the transformation of Billy to Shazam, and vice versa with everyone else as well. But I didn't. I actually love getting to see them all transform, and then of course getting to see them untransform when getting hit by the staff that the sisters have. One person that really stood out to me in this movie for some reason was Freddy, and I know he was kind of like a side part of the first movie, but in this movie he kind of took a little bit more center stage. And I really enjoyed him in this movie. I enjoyed his relationship with, I forget what her name was, but she was the third sister, the youngest sister. And I enjoyed like seeing them kind of like their relationship kind of unfolding. But not only that, but like seeing him like kind of like be Billy's emotional like enemy. I don't want to say he was like an enemy, but like antagonist in terms of like he was trying to, you know, be his own person, and Billy didn't want to let him go, and him and Billy were constantly clashing heads throughout the movie. And then you kind of get this whole thing with like he kind of isn't really, he still gets bullied at school, but he's not afraid to get bullied, and they obviously make that very apparent in the very beginning of the movie. But I just really enjoyed his character when he gets captured, and then him talking with the wizard. He definitely adds a lot to the comedy aspects of this movie, and I guess I could just say that I really enjoyed him. He was fun to watch on screen, and every time he was on screen I definitely was probably laughing or just happy to see him back in the new Shazam movie. The next thing I want to talk about is Wonder Woman saving Shazam. So throughout the whole movie, we kind of get this like little joke about Shazam dating Wonder Woman, which was really weird at first because I thought they were gonna actually do that, which was, I don't know, to me was like really, it was funny, but it was also like really creepy because obviously Billy isn't actually an adult, he just turns into one to be Shazam. But like on the inside he's still a kid. He physically is a kid. So seeing him kind of like be with Wonder Woman was kind of weird when they were on the date. And then later on in the movie when Shazam actually dies, she then comes back and resurrects him with her demigod powers, which was pretty cool. But I'll kind of talk about a little bit more in the bad part of this movie, because there is something I kind of have a problem with that whole thing. The one last thing I do want to talk about is with the sisters. I thought that throughout the whole movie they're kind of like, they're mostly together, but the one sister doesn't want them to like take over everything, and then it becomes apparent that even the leader doesn't want them to do that. They just want what's theirs, and they want to go back to their dimension realm, I think it's how they put it. But the Chaos Sister decides that is not what she wants. She wants full-on revenge. She does not care what that means for her world, and that kind of becomes the ending plot device, so you will. But I enjoyed seeing that it wasn't just like that internal conflict with the enemy as well, and that it wasn't just, oh, here's our 3 big bad people, and they're gonna all stick together no matter what happens. They felt very, you know, despite the fact that they are quite literally gods, they felt almost very human and very like emotional with, like, to the fact of like their motives and stuff. So I did enjoy that. Moving on to the mixed part of this review, I want to talk about some like emotional moments. I don't know if I have any in particular, but there were some where I just felt like they made a joke out of a couple of things that I felt like they shouldn't have made a joke out of. One thing in particular wasn't like a specific moment, but the whole Shazam lair just being like decked out as like their own little hangout was kind of cool, but like sometimes you just want to see it in a kind of very serious tone, and once in a while they would kind of miss, like they would do like too much comedy in one part, and those parts I wasn't crazy about, but for the most part they did nail the emotional parts of the movie that they were trying to get a rise out of people for. One fight in particular that I just wasn't really that crazy about. So the final fight with Shazam versus the dragon that protects the tree, and the Chaos Sister, I wasn't crazy about her only because it just felt like such a bland villain. She obviously just wanted revenge, and I would have liked to see more of like a personal thing with her. Like I would have loved to see her like jump off of the dragon and like go after Shazam, because it just felt like they used the dragon a little too much, and like the dragon was cool, but I just wasn't into it as much as I think they wanted people to be. It was cool to see like this big monster and Shazam fighting, but I think after he beat up the dragon, that should have been it, and that she then could have taken over and then had like a one-on-one battle with Shazam, which I think would have been much cooler. That's kind of also going into my other point that I wanted to talk about with the CGI. So there were moments in this movie where I thought that the CGI was fantastic. One of them being the one I just talked about with the final fight, like in the thunder and Shazam like holding the staff and everything. I thought that all looked fantastic. But there were a few parts, especially with like the monsters that they had coming out of the ground. I thought some of those just looked a little goofy. Like, I don't know, maybe it was just me. I just didn't think that they looked all that well. Funny enough, I know this was such a weird reference, but there was like a flying creature with wings, and to me he looked like that one member of the team in NBA, what's it called? Space Jam New Legacy, the one with LeBron James. The one creature that's in that movie literally looked like an exact copy of this creature, or vice versa. And that was just a weird thing that kind of took me out of the movie for a moment. So let's talk about the bad. My biggest gripe with this movie, and I know a lot of people might agree, a lot of people might disagree, I'm not a fan of everyone having Shazam abilities. I think it makes Billy like not as special. And I think it just, I know the way they justify it in the movie is kind of like very sweet, and like that he trusts his family, but the whole point isn't that like he can just trust whoever. Like, I know they're his family, but that doesn't mean that they should all have Shazam abilities, if that makes sense. And for me, that's just kind of ruins it, because it kind of takes the focus off of Shazam if everyone else kind of just has the same abilities. It would maybe like if they all had different abilities, I'd be into it, but by doing that, they just kind of make it feel very like sterile and not fun or special or wild for Billy. This is kind of the thing I was talking about with Wonder Woman. I was really hoping that when everyone got stripped of their magic and that when Shazam was being revived, that she was only going to have enough of her demigod magic to give to Shazam, and that the rest of them wouldn't have the magic. And I thought that was gonna be a really cool concept, because not only that, but then I thought like, oh, well, like, is the youngest sister that was with Freddy, she would start aging normally, and then like her and Freddy were gonna kind of like go to get like be in a relationship together, I guess is kind of what they were setting up. But now it's kind of weird because she's just gonna stay the same age forever, and Freddy's gonna grow up like a normal person. And for me, that's kind of weird. I kind of feel like, I don't know, maybe that's just me that noticed that. That kind of was a weird thing for me. But I think that would have been cool if she would have only had enough to give Billy his powers back and the rest of them didn't. It would have been cool because we did get to see that version, but in the end, it's Billy. This is Billy's story. This isn't their story. He's, you know, that's his family, and they're there for his emotional support and to be with him and to like give him his, just who he is as a character, but they're not the center of the story. And that's something that I would have liked to see here, but unfortunately, that didn't happen. Going into another kind of whole part, I did talk about the Chaos Sister and how I really wasn't a huge fan of her, but right before that, we get this whole scene with where the kids are like riding these unicorns, and it was a cool scene to like physically watch, but you think about it for even a second and you realize that they're really not doing all that much, because meanwhile Shazam is just fighting they're just kind of like huddling them in one place, which is fine, I guess, but it just felt very flat to me. And I wasn't into it, so that part just kind of wasn't really that crazy to me, besides the comedy that it brought with the whole Skittles kind of thing. So overall, I did enjoy the movie. I did enjoy it a tad bit more than I thought I was going to, but it definitely wasn't like by a lot. My biggest thing, again, with it was the whole superpower thing that they did with the whole family. Wasn't crazy about that. I'll leave my Letterboxd review right here if you guys want to take a look at that. And yeah, so that's kind of my whole thoughts on Shazam! Fury of the Gods. But let me know what your take is down in the comments below. Did you love it? Did you hate it? What were your least favorite parts about it? And I think that's pretty much going to cover it. Until next time, guys. Peace, everybody.